What do you think the biggest misconceptions about China, let's say, in the US?
The biggest misconceptions would be that China is a place with no freedom. I think many people have a very hard time understanding what China is really like. The most often question that I get asked is, Cyrus, what's China like? And my standard response is, I'll tell you, but you probably won't believe me. And I'd say that because it's unlike anything that you can imagine. And for example, I'll give you another example here. This summer, I took my wife and my 3 children. We went back to China. We traveled for 2 months throughout China. And it was an amazing time because my daughter's 8. I have twin 5-year-old boys, and it was their first time back in China for a long time. And they just couldn't believe it. And we were sharing videos on Instagram with our friends back in America, and no one could believe, like, this is China? Like, this is what China looks like? The roads are this clean, the cities are this good, the malls are this well, the meals are this great, the food is this fresh, the people are this friendly. I can't imagine that this is what China is like. And for many people, this is a sad thing, is that I think for most Americans, their conception of China is still stuck in 1970. It's still Chairman Mao suits, bicycles, poor country, underdeveloped, communism, no freedom, totalitarian society. This is what the stereotypes about China are. But I said, I lived in China for 10 years. There's not really many freedoms that I didn't have. There's not really a huge difference between the United States and China. You could say maybe gun laws. Okay, in America you have the right, Second Amendment, we have the right to own a gun. I'm not an American that owns a gun. I'm not a big fan of guns. It's not my thing. Meanwhile, I live in China, and you live in a society that has zero gun crime. Zero gun crime, right? You can go out in a major city like Shanghai, 25, 30 million people. Go out at 2 in the morning. Have a nice watch on. Have cash on you. Wear nice clothes. No one's going to bother you. You're not going to get jumped. You're not going to get robbed. You're not going to get shot. There's a lot of amazing things about that. And that's kind of what I try to do. I try to say there's always nuances that you need to understand about China that are very different. And you won't understand that until you physically go there and experience it. But I have yet to meet somebody that has physically gone to China and not come away with a very different perception than what the media is presenting to you on a daily basis. What I really enjoyed about being in China in the early days is just the curiosity of Chinese people that very much still exists today. When you're a foreigner in China, the Chinese are very curious about you. They want to know about your country, where you're from, how is life. They're extremely friendly. I remember in my first couple months, I couldn't speak any Chinese. I had zero knowledge of the Chinese language. But people, they would see me with, maps again, back in the day, no phones. I'd have a map, I'm trying to find my way, and people would come out and talk to me. They'd help me, and they would help me find my hotel. They would help me find a restaurant. And young children would come up, and their parents would encourage them to, hey, here's a foreigner, speak Chinese or speak English with him. And it was just I immediately felt very welcome there. I knew that I was a guest in China, but I respected them, I respected the culture, and I just had a very overwhelming curiosity. I wanted to learn everything I could about China, about the culture, the people, and I just really, from day one, I just embraced it. I just thought, wow, this is amazing. I'm literally an American living in China. This is the coolest thing ever.
It's a big shift, right?
A tremendous shift.
Florida to China.
Very big, especially from the United States, because many people in the U.S., even moving within the United States is a big deal. I remember my friends at the time, they said, oh, I'm from Florida, but I just got a job opportunity in Texas. I'm so nervous to go to Texas. I don't know what Texas is going to be like. And I always thought, it's more or less the same. It's not that different. But to go to China, it's a complete 180. Everything's different than what you grew up with.
Did you know anything about China before going?
I didn't know anything about China, but I knew was that China was growing. Again, this was circa 2007, so this was about 17 years ago. At that point, China's economy was growing very rapidly, and the only thing that I knew about China was that China is growing. China is going to be a big opportunity. And the thing that interested me was I figured if I could go to China and if I could learn to speak Chinese, I think that this could open up so many doors for my future. And that would be essentially like getting a master's degree. I don't have a master's degree, but when I graduated university, I said, that'll be my master's degree. I'm going to go to China, learn Chinese, and see what opportunities there are in the world.